Welcome back to the channel. This is an inbox review of the brand new Mini-Art 1/35 scale B-type military omnibus. As you can see here, lovely box art. It's very iconic of this well-known bus, which historically, modelling wise, everyone will remember the sort of Airfix kit that's been around for years and years and years. So it's fantastic that now we've got a brand new version of this kit, and this is a state-of-the-art model. Let me tell you, the box is absolutely rammed full of plastic, very heavy, lots of marking options. It is a £50 box in the UK, but you know, I think it's well worth it looking at it. So let's jump inside and see what we've got. So due to the sheer amount of sprues, we have to break them down in twos, but I've taken some pictures there as well, which should help you along the way, and you'll be able to see some close-ups. So these parts here make up base and sort of, it's the base and bucket of the rear chassis where the actual troops would sit. So you've got the part of the bus at the back, and then you've got the cab at the front. This is the top deck, and this takes a whole load of seats on here, and then that's an open top deck. Then you've got the bucket here, which also has benches running along the side. So these are actually horizontal benches like that, and you'd sit, you'd sit your troops two as you go down like that, with a central aisle, much like a bus is. And then in this one is much more like a train. So you've got the aisle in the front, but you've got benches on the side walls, and then you've got windows which are actually blanked off in this military version, and that is all extremely well detailed. And then you've got the staircase here, which goes up as a spiral staircase at the rear of the vehicle. Again, that's in two parts, and they just merge together. So you just join in a natural seam this part to that part, and that gives you the staircase. It looks extremely well engineered. I mean, it's a very clever design and looks really, really great. The details there for sure, straight off. Just looking at these parts, it is extremely crisp. I can't see any mould lines or anything like that. There's the odd seam line around some of the smaller parts, and there's a little bit of flash around here. But that I've seemed to get that in nearly every armour kit I do these days. We've got some quite heavy wood grain detail there, which is fine. It looks the part. Now I think these bits here are a part of the engine. You've obviously got bits of the chassis. You've got leaf springs, the chassis arms here, and parts for the engine. We do get a full engine, and you can actually open that up. You've got the bonnet, which sections open with a hinge bracket along the with a hinge running along the centre seam. So you've got front and back detail there on the firewall, and you don't have ejector pins on either side. There you go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These newer manufacturers seem to be taking this all into account. Your ejector pins here, from what I can see, are actually going to be covered by the internal benches. Your bench is going to sit along there, so the ejector pins being down here, brilliant, fantastic. If you really want to go to it, I mean, you can take those out, but there's no need to. There's no ejector pins here, not even any ejector pins on the roof section, on the inside of the roof section, where usually you would get lots of them all the way down there. Great stuff. No ejector pin marks on either side here. Very, very well done. This is an extremely nice looking kit here. Now we're starting to get some of the duplicate sprues, and unfortunately we are getting a handful of problems coming in. So on this sprue, you'll see that this is a duplicate. So you've got 4 sprues all through here, and at every point, let's line them up, get it all sensible. At every point we've got a problem with flash, which is around these parts. So these should be like that, and you've got just a block of plastic. Now that's it's certainly not fatal. It's not it is a problem. It's not a massive problem, but it is a pain. What you're going to have to do is on each of these parts, you're just going to have to cut around it. It's almost like being moulded in resin, where it's sometimes moulded on a sheet and you've got to cut it out. That's exactly what you're dealing with here. So that is unfortunate. There's a problem in the mould there that they really should address. It's surprising that that hasn't come out in some of the samples, because you've obviously got a leak around this section, and that's why the plastic's all going into outside of where it should be in the mould. Not fatal, not a massive problem, and those good old basic modelling skills need to come in here to fix that, which I don't think that's beyond any of us, really, if I'm honest. I wouldn't be getting this kit if you were a beginner looking at it, so anyone who's willing to take the challenge of this kit, that's nothing too bad, but it is a problem, you know, it's a pain to have it there. Over the rest of these sprues, the same level of detail is all the way through. We don't have ejector pin marks in places where we wouldn't want them. You could easily see them on the underside of these fenders. They're not there, that's fantastic. They've utilised the sprue gates and around the actual sprue for the punch out marks. You've got a couple, you've got some very nice detail with these wheels, and they look very, very nice. That's extremely good. This is all raised detail in here, and it's got like flat metal, so it's a flat piece of metal and a flat piece there as well, and it's so sharp. It's very well done. I haven't seen moulding like this for a while. This is really, really good. Certainly on par with anything I've seen from any other manufacturer. This is right up there. Excellent stuff. And those fenders are extremely thin. You wouldn't need to worry about photo etch for those. You know, where would you use aftermarket on this, if there even is any? I don't think it's necessary. I just can't see where you'd use it. Everything's great inside the box, but we do have those issues of flash there. And here we've got parts catering for pretty much the rest of the build that we haven't mentioned. So we've got some of the benches for the internal and some of the side parts as well, handrails, parts for the engine with exhaust, some very fine details running through there. This is what's making up most of the cab. We've got some wooden planking and decking here, which goes as part of the cabin at the rear as well. And then in here is mostly parts for the other bits of the engine, so gearbox and all that running through the chassis. And we've also got some of the hinged parts for the bonnet, which opens up like I mentioned before. And we've got a couple of repeat sprues here, that's on the planking there. We've got some tools as well and a few small doors and boxes there. And then this is another piece for some of the lids to more bits like the gearbox and all of that. Again, the same level of detail running right the way across this. No pesky bits of flash or anything. We do get a small sponge there as well, which was protecting some of these delicate parts here, which I think looked like exhausts. Tiny little bit of damage, but it would have been a lot worse without this, so that's good. Yeah, excellent stuff. Right way over this again. It's absolutely superb. No ejector pin marks. A little bit of damage there just in transit where this part's broken, which would easily go back together. You just need to get it off the sprue and it will spring back together. Again, on all of the internal stuff, there's no ejector pin marks whatsoever. Nowhere across any of this. It's absolutely exceptional. This is going to be a lovely kit to put together, and I can't wait to get started on it. I do have one project ahead of me before this one gets started, but believe me, this will be coming to the channel very soon. So there we go. Let's have a look at some of the clear parts. So these are a little bit tricky to film, but if I pick them up like that, you should be able to see. They're absolutely spotless. No problem whatsoever there. The only blemish they've got is a great big fingerprint mark that I've just put on there. That's just a greasy finger. There's no problem there. So you've got two duplicate sprues here, and then this one small sprue there as well, which has quite a lot of the lenses for some of the different lights. Really nicely done. Again, I mean, I can't say really enough about it. On this one, I think some of the windows are sprayed, some of the windows are shut as well, boarded up, are they? What is it? It might just be sprayed over. I think they're just blacked out, but we do have one bus in the marking scheme, which is the one operating in the UK, which has open windows, so that's why you've got all of these. The side panel, if we take this this picture here, hang on, where are we? There we go. So if we do that, you'll see that there they are painted out. So that's the windows you've got, but they are absolutely clear, and you've got windows at the front and at the back here as well on the side panels. But if we go to the first marking scheme, there you can see that you've got the windows. So if you want to do that, you've got that option as well, which is a nice touch. Looks like they've consciously found one that you could use windows for and made a conscious decision to add that in, which is excellent stuff. Then we've got the decal sheet, and we've got marking options for 4 vehicles. Or is that 5? It is 5. So the first one is the 52 COY ASC, or COY Army Service Corps, which is Brighton 1914, and that is the one with the windows, and that uses Comrades, which is a bit of a sort of added graffiti at the top, and we've got the WD on the side as well with a small mechanical transport bit of stenciling there. Then we've got an unidentified unit of the Royal Naval Division, and that just has the RND on the sides, so it's a bit toned down as far as the schemes go. Then we've got marking option 3, which is the 91 COY Army Service Corps, and that's based in Ypres, or Ypres as no, in Ypres or Ypres. Or Wipers, as is also known as, and that's spring 1915, and that is 91 MTC, so that uses this bit here on both sides, with quite a few more as well. It's got the arrows on the top and on the front, on the back, sorry. Then you've got the 51 being used all over it as well, so that's a more colourful one, as we say. They're all green with white lettering, but it stands out a bit more. Then we've got marking option 4, which is the 93rd. COY or COY? Let me know in the comments what that stands for, because you've got 93 COY, and then you've got the Army Service Corps, and then it's the Somme Autumn 1916, used as an ambulance. So that also uses that uses 93 MTC here, but it's got the large 50 at the front as well. And then lastly we've got 90 COY S Army Service, which is in Kassel in summer 1917, and that just uses the 44, and these logos on the front and back. So plenty to choose from there, and the decals look very nicely done. A little bit heavy on the carrier film, so in this WD, that's one big block. I mean, I would be looking to cut along the W and cut along the D to make it a little bit less on the carrier film. It looks like it could stand up a little bit. It's quite proud on the sheet, but printing is very nice. It's all in register. It looks a little bit off on the camera, but that's the lighting. It's pure white on the sheet. Yeah, excellent stuff. Then we've got one last bit, so you get a nice little card envelope here, and this contains the photo etch fret, which is one fret, which mainly gives you along the top there, you've got the sort of number plate on the side, which is different for each vehicle. So you've got 2 of those for the 5 marking options, which is one either side of the bonnet. You've got a few tie downs and straps, and a few other small bits which are best catered for out of the etched metal. And that pretty much is as good as any photo etch I've seen from anywhere. Lastly, we'll just have a quick flick through the instruction booklet so you can see what you've got there. This is a very sizable booklet here, and here you've got the marking options. So there's 1 and 2 there, which is very nicely laid out, gives you all the information you need to know. There's the parts breakdown all the way through there, which gives you again all of the information you're likely to need. Let's just check that sprue that had the, yeah, it's EA which has the problem with the flash, and it's on this bit. Then as we run through, you see it's very conventionally laid out, and it's very clear and nice CAD drawings. Lots of detail in the engine here, really great, and it gives you the sizes for the wiring if you want to add some of the wiring to it. Chassis going together, rest of it all coming together with the leaf springs, radiator, engine all going in. Then after we've got all of the engine and that in, we're starting to build up parts for the cab and running onto the rear deck as well, with some of the wheels going together. And then all of that comes on. Here you can see you've got the options for open or closed bonnet, which is lovely, great option. It's usually a problem, and sometimes you have to get photo etch bonnets and replacements, so that's a brilliant thing to have. And I you know, it's going to be opened up. There's so much detail in there. I'll be having that one open. And then as we start to get to a close on the chassis, then we build up all of the parts for the rear deck. So as you can see, it's extremely detailed, fantastic stuff all the way through here. It's just absolutely full of detail, fantastic stuff. plenty of explanation on how everything wants to go together. This is the top deck, which then goes on and then closes the bottom part as well, which is here. Then we just build up the rear part, and here's that spiral staircase that I was mentioning earlier, and then everything starts to come to a close, and there we go. All that's left is to put on the lenses for the lights. And then we've got a few more marking schemes. So this is 3, 4 and 5. So there we go. What a wonderful kit from Mini-Art, and an exceptional choice of subject, and it's absolutely brilliant to have this one back now. This is the military version. We've also got a civilian version as well, which is it just looks very much like a bus of the 1914 sort of period. So look out for that one if you want to do a civilian one, not a military one as well. It's pretty much the same thing. It's absolutely fantastic to be treated to kits like this from manufacturers who are making models that are state of the art. Mini-Art are certainly doing that. You've got ICM, you've got Takom, you've got numerous other companies that have come up and are starting to really give us subjects that have been neglected or really need a revamp, and it is happening. So it's a great time to be into scale modelling. And long may it continue. Hopefully in 2020 we'll get a whole load of new releases that we couldn't have imagined. So if you're interested in this model, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I am going to be building this one. I've got plenty of time coming up now, and I'm putting it aside for some special builds. This is one of them. We did the Holt tractor, a review of the Rodin Holt tractor that was given to the channel by Rodin in the past, and that one will be built over this period as well, and I think it would go lovely with this one to make a nice little scene. So hopefully you agree with me that everything looks absolutely brilliant with this kit. So if you're interested, like I say, it's $49.99 in the UK. I think it personally it's very much worth it, but you know, you have to make that decision yourself, and if it's something you want, check it out, because what a fantastic kit to have. As usual, thanks for viewing. If you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing to the channel, because that all helps. It's really great to get your support. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.